So I want to give you an idea of the flow chart between 6.1 and 6.2. So the question you ask yourself is the population normally distributed or n greater than or equal to 30? Okay? So is the population normally distributed or n greater than or equal to 30? Now, if the answer to that question is no, then you can't use the t distribution or the z distribution. So if you don't have the car keys, you can't drive the car off. So if that answer is no, then you're done. And that's probably your favorite type of problem right there. Dunsies right there. Now, the other option is yes. Yeah, it's either normally distributed or n greater than or equal to 30. Now, the next question you have to ask yourself is sigma known? Is sigma known? That's the next question to ask yourself, okay? So do we know what sigma is? And if your answer is no, then we're in the section we just covered. We use the t distribution, okay? We use the t distribution where E is equal to TC S over the square root of n, and my degrees of freedom is n minus 1. If the answer is yes, I do know sigma, then I use the standard normal, which is the z, okay? The z distribution. So that's where E is ZC sigma over the square root of n, all right? Now, this is goofy, but you guys know me. I think of goofy ways to remember things, but here's how I remember it, okay? I think t distribution, okay, t distribution, I'm going to use S. Well, S and T are close to each other in the alphabet. That's how I remember those go together. And then the Z distribution, I have a sigma, so I just kind of think, well, that's kind of like Oz. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, whatever. So that's how I think about it. The S and T are close to each other in the alphabet, so those two go together. And then Z and sigma. If I know sigma, then I'm going to use the Z table. And if I know S only and sigma is unknown, I use the T chart. So I want to go back to this problem we worked in the previous video. And I want to show you how to do this problem in your calculator. How about that? Okay, so I'm going to write down the steps, how to do that problem in your calculator. So ti84, your ti84, go ahead and pull that out. So I want you to write this. Stat, you're going to hit the stat button, and you're going to hit test. Then you're going to hit 8, which is the t interval. Okay. And then you're going to hit stats. Okay. You use this button. All right. Let me actually move this one down here because there's two options. All right. So after this, we're going to kind of branch off, and I'm going to show you what to do on the other one over here later. So the stats button, you use this. Use when given X bar, S, N, C, all that information, okay? So once you hit stats, you're going to input all values, all the information that I just told you. It's going to say X bar equals, SX equals, N equals, C level. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to type in those values, 22.2. I'm going to type in 5.8. I'm going to type in 5 for N and 0.95 for my C level. Then I'm going to hit the calculate button. Okay, I hit the calculate button. And so at that point, it spits out my answer. Now there's another button after you're in the T interval. It says stats for one, and then it says data for the other. Okay, so you're gonna run into problems like this, and you need to know what you're doing. So if you have a list of numbers, raw data, then this is what you're going to do. So like instead of them giving you the statistics, they gave you the actual data values, okay? So they give you the actual data values. Then what do? It asks you for the list and then the frequency and then the sea level, obviously, okay? So what would you do here? You would type up the data in your L1 list. So to do that, hit stat, edit, and then input the numbers into L1. If you already have numbers in L1, you're going to have to hit the delete key until all those numbers are erased, and then type in your numbers into list 1. How many times you want to count it? 1 time. What's your sea level? 0.95. Whatever it ends up being for that particular problem. Then hit calculate and you'll get it. But let's walk through it, and we're going to follow the steps here and then go and plug in these values. So haven't done this before, so we're going to be doing this kind of together. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my camera, see if this works. All right, so I'm gonna try to balance this out. This is gonna be awesome. Let me do this. Maybe that's a little better. Maybe. Okay. So let's see. I want to hit first stat. Okay. And then I'm gonna go to tests and then down to 8 for T interval, hit enter. Now I have not data, but I have statistics, so make sure that's highlighted. My X bar is 22.2. My SX is 5.8. And my N is equal to 5. My sea level is already at 0.95, so I'm going to hit enter, calculate, see if we get it. Oh my goodness, does that look familiar? 14.998 and 29.402. Okay, let's go back here. And I look here, and like that's really close to what I got there. Okay, so if it's rounding to 2 decimal places, then we're good to go. All right, guys, so hopefully that helps you out, shows you how to put this in your calculator. And you can do the same thing with 6.1 also. Instead of hitting stat, test, and number 8, number 7 is the Z one. So it's right there. So if I go back to my camera, I can show you. Maybe. So with 6.1, that's the one you use. For 6.2, it's the T. Okay, so same thing, all right? And you can get your answers that way. All right, hope this video was helpful. As always, shoot me an email if you got questions. All right.